Aries, March is upon us. Are you ready to let these energies work on your behalf? Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Hello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to your Transformational Tarot for the month of March for Aries. Aries, this is for your sun, moon, rising, and your Venus, and as well as if you have an Aries in your life that you love. What a great way to keep up with what is going on. So today we are pulling cards, an overarching theme for you from the Sacred Creators Oracle deck from Chris Ann. And the deck that called to me to you guys today is the Tarot of the Sacred Kingdoms. I apologize, I do not have a box for it. The box is in a box. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so just as we are shuffling up and getting an overarching theme, I just want to say to you guys, check out my join button. I have 3 fabulous membership tiers that I'm so excited to be able to offer. It took me 11 years, peeps, 11 years to get to a point where the YouTube algorithm decided that I was worthy. So if you want to keep the conversation going and go a little deeper, click on that join button. Become a fabulous phoenix. All right, the edge of evolution feels messy. Okay, Aries, so what we got going on for you in March is I feel that you're coming out of some pretty heavy, weighty stuff in February, and March is the time where you need to kind of that, well, you don't need to do anything, but the guidance here is to accept that things are not going to be exactly the way you planned them out to be, or exactly the way you want it to go. I'm just realizing that I forgot to turn on my lights. So the challenge that you're going to run into here is in, I want to say, allowing things to be messy. You know, I want to say when we are in a creative flow and a creative path, a lot of times we need to be able to get messy. And I know I deal with some of this too. Some of my OCD gets a little out of control when I am, in a creative environment. Like if I'm painting and stuff, I have to make sure that I'm in an environment where it doesn't care, and I have to mentally set myself up for success to say, I'm going to go in and it doesn't matter that, I'm painting outside the lines and that the colors get blurred and all that kind of stuff. Translating that into your overarching theme, I feel like things are going to be messy. Things are not going to go exactly according to plan, but trust in the process because you are on that edge of evolution. In fact, February, I feel, was kind of the precursor to that, gave you a hint and a heads up of what was going to come, down the pike for you, so that you could mentally prepare and say, all right, here's how I'm, going to move forward. And, we are coming into your time, this is your astrological time as well. Springtime energy, March into April, right? So this is a time also to really harness that fire element that is you, harness that passion, harness that momentum that is going to come out of, that messiness. Use the messiness to your advantage because the messiness is going to bring about the creativity. I like to say necessity is the mother of invention. And I feel like that's going to be what kind of informs your choices as you're moving forward here in March. Very, very cool. It's recording. All right, Aries, I had some technical difficulty. I used the brand new pause feature so that I could turn on my lights and thought I was recording and was not. So I have this that you just heard, and I actually have pulled a few cards already. So I'm going to just go back and try to sort of recreate what came up. So please bear with me. The first card that I chose, this was you in the present moment. Where are you right now in your transformational journey? What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? You got the World card. And I love this for you guys because I feel like you are really coming to the end of a chapter, a cycle in your life. You're recognizing that. February was, I want to say, a lot of energy, a lot of energy that caused you to kind of lay the foundation, lay the groundwork for what is new to come. And March, I feel, is really bringing into focus for you that you are closing the door on a chapter or even a volume of you, and you're getting ready to step into this new portal. We see here that she, she's kind of arrived. She's walked the journey and the path, and she's gotten to where she, the ultimate goal type thing. And so now there's a door in this portal, and she's getting ready to step into the door. Very excited about stepping into that door. But in order to do that, it's a conscious choice. She has to say, I need to release, I need to let go of what is no longer serving me. I need to let go of this past energy in order to be able to create the new. And there's a lot of conscious choice here. I definitely feel that this is you in a rising space. And I feel like you're rising because you've kind of recognized a lot of patterns and cycles that you are just no longer vibing with. You're saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I've been there, done that and bought the t-shirt so many times. It's boring to me, or I just don't want to do it anymore. It's not fun. Whether I've broken the pattern or not, I'm choosing to step into this next portal, and I have to travel light. I need to let go of what is coming for me. The second card that I pulled for you, the catalyst card here, is what's fueling or hindering your transformation. And is this resistance or rocket fuel? You have the Five of Cups, and I definitely feel that this is actually going to be rocket fuel for you. For some of you, this is the grief card. This is the loss card. And for some of you, this catalyst already happened. You've already kind of understood that there was loss or grief or something that, abruptly came to an end, and it caused you to, finish out the journey and seek out the next path. For some of you in March, this is what is to come. What I want to say is, don't agonize over the grief or the loss or the end. Recognize that the door needs to be closed in order for you to be able to fully go into this portal with conscious choice, making that conscious choice. The Five of Cups, I love this depiction of the Five of Cups so much, because we're seeing the bog and the fog. And ultimately, that is what grief and loss does to us, is it removes our clarity. We don't see things clearly. We don't fully understand why things happen, and we don't always see what is next to come. And I feel like when we're talking about this being, your catalyst, I feel that this is actually fueling your transformation at this point, because you're honestly dealing with what you're letting go of, but you're saying, regardless of the pattern in the cycle, I am still choosing to move forward. And when we choose to move forward, that bog lifts, right? We can see more clearly what is to come. And there's an element and a component here for you of understanding that in order to transform, in order to thrive, I have to keep moving forward regardless of what's happening. Now, I'm not saying don't feel what you feel. Definitely step in and feel what you feel as you need to go on. This isn't about bypassing anything, but I do feel that March is really trying to be the opening, the beginning. And something that I picked up on when I was talking and thought that I was recording was that we're stepping into your season, Aries. You guys are March into April. And so this is your time of year, that springtime energy, the initiation, the movement forward. When we are in a state of grief, or we are allowing grief to inform our choices, it's really inhibiting where we're going, because we're just pushing through the smoke and the fog without having a clear sense of direction. So feel what you feel, acknowledge what you acknowledge, but understand that it does not have to be taken with you into the kind of the next journey or the next adventure. You're going to be taking the wisdom that you gained from the experience. That's all you need. So feel what you feel and continue to move forward even as you're feeling it. Okay, deep root. What deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? This one was really important. I feel like the High Priestess is coming through. yes, I felt like it was a soul contract, and it's a soul contract between you and you. It's kind of your soul contract, your divine blueprint between you and what your soul has come here to experience. Maybe your high self and you coming to experience. So we could talk about it in that kind of triune energy, where there's the you that is making the choices and having the experience, using the body as the vehicle through which you are living this earthly experience. You have your high self that is, intuitively guiding you. And then you've got the soul path that is creating the fire and the passion and the drive, for what you're really wanting to kind of leave behind, the legacy that you're creating. And I keep getting for you guys that this high priestess energy is with you. This is a new path, right? This is a new way of being. I can be intuitively in tune and entwined with my intuition, with my soul path, every moment of every single day moving forward. But the high priestess is not going to just give it to me, not just going to hand it to me. I have to say yes to it. The example that I was given was like in the dream state. We can have these incredible, amazing prophetic dreams. And if we don't take the time when we're kind of, coming to, we're in that half awake state where we recognize, ooh, this is really powerful information. Let me jot down the bullet points before I lose it. Sometimes we're in that state and we're like, oh, this is so profound, I'm never going to forget it. And then you fall back to sleep and then it's gone forever. This is what the high priestess is coming to you about. And that deep root energy is, I'm bringing the information to you, but will you choose it? And I feel like we're talking about a soul contract energy here. Like I said, you and your soul, you and your high self. These are the soul contracts we're dealing with, you and the divine masculine and your divine feminine, and how you're blending these two. But this is also a deep belief. A lot of us, I want to say, I'm not an Aries, but just people in general, a lot of us. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that about the Five of Cups, that this also is a collective energy. There are a lot of us that are going through grief. So it's not just an Aries thing, but that's how it affects you, Aries. Okay. So with this high priestess, and we're talking about that deep belief energy, a lot of us have had past or parallel life experiences where we have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Tortured for our beliefs. We've been ostracized for our beliefs. We've been killed for our beliefs, for that very intuition and the psychic realm that we're being presented with. But this is not the lifetime. This is not the lifetime that this is going to happen to you. So it's okay. You're safe to choose this path. You're safe to embrace the fire and to move forward, because this is your time to shine the light. And in March, I feel very much so that this is about you making that choice. Now, of course, you can choose to not listen to your intuition and to not bring it along for the ride, or to bring it along for the ride in a more passive capacity. Absolutely, we all have free will. But the high priestess is showing up right now as that deep root, that subconscious trigger, to say, hey, I'm here. We can do this together. You don't always have to do this alone. You don't always have to be, the lone rider or the lone ranger. We can do this together. And I'm always drawn in this card. This makes me think of the strength card as well, just because she's got her familials with her. And she's got a black cat, but she also has this kind of bobcat energy. And what this says to me is, you're safe in the shadow. You're safe in the light. Divine source is your partner in crime. The high priestess is too. Your partner is source energy. So, if you can step into that space and trust it, I always like to say, oh, the places you'll go. That's exactly how I'm feeling about it. Okay, what is dying away? What part of you is falling away? What role pattern or identity has run its course? Here we have the Three of Cups. And this is really interesting, because in the high priestess is inviting you to collaborate. Right? It's a permanent collaboration moving forward. It's the opportunity for you to really truly choose to not have to walk this path by yourself, and to say, I am a spark of the divine and the divine is me. And the Three of Cups, it's interesting that the three came up. Normally Three of Coins or Three of Pentacles is the collaboration card for me. But Three of Cups has a collaborative energy here. And this is an invitation for you to let people in. To actively step into a role where you are sharing your light with others and you're receiving others' light to kind of in almost a ritualistic sense, make a new light. This is a time that we are stepping into right now of community, deep, lasting community, building communities, building friendships. Whatever you have lost, whether it's a friendship, a partner, a dream, respect of someone else, or maybe self-respect, whatever it is that you feel that you're grieving or that you've lost, you can gain it now by connecting with others, reaching out with others, not feeling always like you have to bear the burden. Three of Cups is also a card of celebration. And I feel like when I'm looking at this card today, it really is about not so much about celebration as much as it's about the ritual of recognizing you don't have to do this alone. Also want to point out that Three of Cups and the world is a 21 broken down into a 3. It's all about creation. And we talked about the evolution of the edge of evolution is messy, creative energy and flow. So you can see here very clearly that your March is really going to be highly creative. But again, this is about you choosing it, you saying, I want to step into this path. I want to step into this pattern. So gone is the identity of I have to do this all by myself. I can connect with my high source, my high self, my soul space. I can connect with my psychic and my intuitive space, and then I can share it. And I release a bit of the burden of having to do it all by myself. And it doesn't mean I lose my independence. It just means that now everything's coming together, and it's coming together in divine order and timing. Highest Phoenix potential. What can rise from the ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is your breakthrough energy. Page of Swords. Yeah. So March is also going to be a little bit of a school of thought for each of you. I feel like, so this is a general reading. Take what works for you, leave the rest behind. I feel that March is going to be a highly inspirational month, receiving a lot of really amazing ideas. And the Page of Swords comes in and says, ooh, I love that idea. Let me do a little bit of research to see how I can make this work for me, to see how I can incorporate it into my life, to formulate a plan. And then, we kind of, the ace is the inspiration, the page formulates the plan, and then the knight enacts the plan, right? The knight goes out on the quest. So I feel like when we're talking about your highest Phoenix potential, this month is really, if you allow it, is really going to show you some different ways to approach your life, to expand your life, to bring more excitement and bring more intention to the creative process. So yes, it's going to feel messy. The Page of Swords comes through and says, okay, I'm not worried about the mess, but let me see how I can navigate the mess. Let me see what the mess is bringing to me so that I can formulate a plan and perhaps bring a little order to the chaos, right? Perhaps bring a little structure to what it is that I'm creating. But the Page of Swords does not have, is not attached to a particular outcome. The Page of Swords says, how can I make this work best? I'm open to what that is going to present. So I feel like what can rise from the ashes for you here is a solid plan of action. By the end of March, maybe even a little bit into April, there's a lot of exploration of this intuitive way and this intuitive path, which is very exciting. And because you stay out of the attachment to the outcome, you're able to explore a number of different paths, a number of different plans, or different scenarios while you are walking the path and exploring the plan itself. So highest potential is walking, choosing, analyzing, and then the adventure. That's the word I keep wanting to spit out, is seeing it as an adventure. And when we take an adventure, we don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to end up. we're taking the adventure because we want to see. The analogy that I'll give you is, when you start a new video game, right? I play video games with my ex all the time. And when you start a new game, like, you don't know what's going to come. You have maybe a rough idea of like the structure of things because you've played other games before and it's going to be, kind of similar to that. But you really have no idea, like, what weapons your avatar is going to, request or require or need or come across. You don't know what battles or what scenarios there are going to be. And yet you still choose to take the adventure because it's fun, because you're looking for something that you can't predict. It keeps the creative juices sharp, right? It keeps everything more exciting. And I feel like that is the highest potential for you. That Page of Swords, she's sharpening the sword, right? She's sharpening her knowledge. She's sharpening her wisdom by planning the adventure. And she's not planning it to the T. She's saying, what are the potentials and the possibilities? And that's what I feel is what is available to you here in March. What's emerging just around the corner? What energy or experience is coming in to support the next phase? Another page. Interesting. So you're very much, Aries, on the precipice, and it makes sense with this being your time of year as well, on the precipice of the new. You want to see yourself, I always see pages as kind of like a student energy, right? So you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And the whole point, people don't go to school because they know everything and they want to show off to the class. They go to school to learn from somebody else that has more experience, more knowledge, has done it 1,000,001 times, right? So I feel like you want to kind of take that energy, especially if, you're planning out your adventure and you're understanding, okay, I want to go here. I don't know exactly what I'm going to see on this journey, but this is this is where the starting point is, and I want to kind of end up here. And so how we get there is, left open for interpretation. Page of Pentacles really says, okay, let's study this. Let's look at it from an experimental perspective. The Page of Pentacles is the scientist who sets up the science experiment. And again, is not attached to any one particular outcome. Is just curious about what's going to happen. I've laid the groundwork. I've set up the experiment. And so now I've got, my, particular 3 factors, my X factors, and I've got my constants. And let's just kind of do this. Page of Pentacles also expresses a level of enthusiasm for nature, to figure out how things work. And I feel like that for you, Aries, is going to be the clue or the key to seeking out your creative endeavors. Is what has you so freaking curious that you want to see kind of out and about in the real world how this works, how this becomes. How does this even, sort of fit in to the world at large? Not even so much how does it fit into my world. It's how does it fit into the world at large? And when you've gained some of that information and you've had some of that experience, now it feels like it's easier for you, more potent and poignant for you than to say, okay, how does this fit into my life and my world? There's going to be a lot of clarity that comes up for you. I'm seeing a lot of the light shining through this particular window and onto, some books and some papers that, he's obviously working through. He's got a system of how he's sort of setting up this experiment, and he's not reading the books all the way through. He's picking and choosing what he needs. And I feel like that's the approach you guys want to take. You don't have to read a book all the way through to get what it is that you need. If you read the first 4 chapters and you have that big aha moment and you're like, okay, I know what I'm going to do now. Put the book down. You can always revisit it later, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you didn't get all that you needed to get just from those 3 chapters. So I feel that there's going to be some discernment as well in terms of where you're getting your information and being able to kind of pick and choose, to use the discernment around what is actually needed versus like trying to finish it. So Stacey's crappy sort of astrology approach here. Not to say that all Aries struggle with follow through, but it is part of your genetic makeup, right? I mean, it is part of the chart. This is one time when that follow through isn't necessary, right? Like, you don't have to read the whole book. When you get the information and it feels right and it resonates with you, act on it. Your role in this shift, you in this process, how are you navigating this transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Yes, so the magician is part of the experimenter, right? Alchemizing, using the resources at their fingertips to create what it is that they need. And you are the magician. I want to say the buck stops with you. There's some accountability that's going to be coming up here for you in March around certain areas. I'm seeing a lot of work-related things, especially for those of you who are in, I want to say, managerial positions or in positions of higher levels of responsibility. Accountability is going to be a factor, going to be a feature for you. But remember, you have everything that you need to be able to make this work. And it's about you having the confidence and believing in yourself to know that it'll get done and that you will overcome or supersede any obstacle that is in your path, but you're going to do it cleverly. This isn't about using your power forcefully. This is about being clever, using your wisdom and using it cleverly to get what it is that you need. When we talk about, are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? I think I got rising for you before, and I do feel that the magician is actually wanting you to be more in flow so that you can continue to boldly rise. The magician is coming through to help you rise. I forget which one that was with. I think it might have been the world. The magician is coming through to help that happen, right? To ignite that energy. But the magician, I feel, is about helping you to find your flow. And if you don't find your flow or you resist the flow, I feel like what's going to happen is it's kind of like you're telling the high priestess that I don't want your intuition. I'm still going to work by myself. I'm still going to do things on my own. I'm not, interested in the collaborative ritualistic effects of letting other people in and understanding myself from that team perspective. We all have choice. I'm not saying to you that's a bad choice. I'm just saying that's a choice. And either way, your alchemy is going to really lean into that, or it's going to lean into the expansion, the exploration, the new adventure and the new journey, walking through the portal. Remember, when you hit the world card, just because the portal is there, you always have the choice to go back to. You don't have to walk through the portal. You may stay stuck in that, that particular space for a little while, maybe to regroup or to give some thought to where things are going. Eventually you will walk through the door. You will walk through the portal. But there can be a holding pattern in there. The magician is saying to you, listen, we've got everything that we need to move you forward. So stay in flow and you'll rise. You'll rise without a whole lot of effort in making that happen. It's just the natural, I want to say it's the natural flow of life. Circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? And is it a positive or a negative one? Ooh, interesting. Queen of Wands. So this is definitely, it's a fire card. It's a U card. I'm loving this energy for you because when we talk about circles of support, again, I'm drawn to the kitty cat, right? The familials. And the familials are all about source energy supporting us. And I feel like, again, she's standing alone. There aren't any other humans around her, but man, oh man, she is holding that cat, right? I mean, that is her lifeline. That is her partner, her support, her resource, her companion in life. And again, I feel like a big lesson here is to let other people in, to let source lead the way, to let other people in so that you don't have to be so damn independent. Like, you can keep your independence, but you can also, work in a group. The Queen of Wands is also, I want to say, encouraging you to step up a little bit more into your light. This is about showing who you really are, not hiding in plain sight, not dimming your light. It's about saying, I have something to offer, world, and this is what I have to offer, and I'm not going to make any bones about it. Now, you don't want to burn anyone with your firelight. This fire is contained. Yes, it's higher flame. You need to be careful of what you're bringing around it, because it could get out of control, if it tipped over or something along those lines. But you want to understand, I don't have to burn anybody with this. I'm just showing it and shining it. And anyone who is drawn to it, we're going to be able to work together. And anyone who isn't drawn to it, they're just not going to be a part of my team, right? They're not going to be a part of the team. And there doesn't have to be any emotion attached to it. It's, the magician, I want to say there isn't a ton of emotion in the magician as much as there is a following of the recipe book. Queen of Wands very easily can get emotionally attached to something because she uses her fire, she uses her passion to, get the ball rolling, to keep things going. You want to keep a little bit of that in check. And what I mean by that is just follow your own light. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Follow your light. And, if you build it, he will come, right? That's what I keep hearing, the field of dreams. If you build it, he will come. So you have support. Lean into your source energy for support, and the humans will show up. Hopes and fears. Who are you dreaming of becoming, and what scares you about actually doing it? Interesting. You want to be that person that constantly has all of these amazing ideas, but doesn't necessarily always have to be responsible or accountable for those ideas coming into fruition. Or your anxiety is in trusting those ideas to come to fruition through other people. And I feel like who you really want to become is the light, is the being that others seek the light for. You want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be respected for what it is that you bring to the table. But there's also a fear because in the past you've not been seen, you've not been heard, you've not been respected, or the very thing that is good about you is the thing that others have shunned you for, or created an issue around. And I want to say the ACE is all about the pure potential. And here in March, the edge of evolution feels messy because you are about to embark on the next journey. She's standing on the precipice here. She's standing on a cliff edge. And she's focusing on the light. She's focusing on the light that she's bringing. She's also focusing her light to enact another light, either another vision, or that would be another person's light that you are collaborating with, right? So what I keep hearing, Aries, is don't sweat the small stuff. Just move forward. You don't need anyone's permission. Actually, that's an emperor card thing, but you don't need anyone's permission to work with what you've got and to be who you are. You don't need anyone's permission to follow your own recipe, but you do have the option of tapping into the high priestess energy to tweak whatever recipe you're working on. And that's where that Ace of Swords comes in. New thought, connecting to a new flow. And we talked about that with the magician as well, connecting to a new flow. So much. You've got the pages, you've got a lot of aces, you've got the magician as a 1, you've got the world, which, is also symbolic of an ending and then a new beginning coming on the other side. March is really very much about new beginnings for you, which I think is fantastic. Okay, we are at the outcome. If you stay on course in March, who will you be on the other side of this journey? What is the result of embracing the full death and rebirth cycle? Yes, letting go, walking away from the old. And what I feel here is we could say that the ship just dropped him off because we are seeing his face, but we could also see it as the ship's coming in. He's been waiting for it. He's acknowledged to them, hey, I'm waiting for you guys. I just got to go to the shore. I got to pick up a couple of things and then you dock and then I'm going to join you. And that's what I feel this is about. 8 of Cups shows up in terms of this outcome for you because, like I said at the beginning, This is about your choice and your free will. You have to actively, consciously say, yes, this is the path I'm going to take. Everything's going to present itself to you, but it's not going to just naturally happen. It's going to show up and you're going to have to say, yes, I want this and I want this and I want this. It's like the create your own sandwich or create your own salad. You know, you stand at the counter and you tell them, I want this, but not that. I want this in this, add this, you know, this kind of dressing. Yes, add the pita chips. Oh, yes, I want extra pickles on the side, right? So I feel like that's what is coming up for you here. And by the end of March and a little bit into April, you're going to be very clear as to what you've chosen and the direction you're taking. This boat knows where it's going. You know, this ship knows exactly where it's going. And so therefore, you're going to be going in the direction of that particular destination. You may not know all of the ins and outs of the journey itself, but you know the destination that you're going to, and that feels good. That's what you want to follow. All right, guys. Wow. So that is your transformational tarot for March for Aries. Please like, subscribe, click the bell on my YouTube. You know the drill. Share this with anyone that you feel could benefit from this type of guidance. Until I see you for another episode of Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life, sending you lots of love, lots of support. We will see you on the flip side and transform well.